The Crusaders have missed a prime opportunity to extend their gap at the top of the Super Rugby table for 2025. They have been beaten by the Chiefs in what was a tight first half, but a very underwhelming second half from them, and they fell to a 35-19 defeat. This means they slip now to third on the table, of the Brumbies getting a result over the weekend, and now they're 4 points behind the Chiefs, who of course sit at top of the table. Of course, despite the Crusaders having a game in hand, it is still a missed opportunity for them, as they could have extended their gap and even, depending on how results would have gone this weekend, claimed the top spot in Super Rugby. But now the Chiefs have a great opportunity to do so this weekend. I'm Nick from Nickn'detail, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Crusaders and Chiefs game, which took place in Christchurch last Saturday evening. So let's get into it. That's right, another tough matchup for the Chiefs. They had the Hurricanes in Wellington the week before, where they suffered an absolute second half onslaught to lose that game, and now they had another away trip in a row to Christchurch, where they took on the high-flying Crusaders. The Crusaders have actually only dropped a couple games this season. In fact, actually haven't lost at home this season, so this always was going to be such a tough task for the Chiefs to come down, particularly after that performance against the Hurricanes, to go and beat the Crusaders. But they managed to do so 35-19. This was them despite trailing the Crusaders 19-10 at halftime, where most of the points in that first half came in the last 10 minutes. But despite that, they got the result in that second half, and they now go top of the table, 4 points clear of the third place Crusaders, but 2 points clear of the Australian-based Brumbies. And of course, those two teams having played the same amount of games, the Crusaders still with a game in hand. So let's give my thoughts on this game. This was a tight first half. Honestly, not much really happened in that first half hour period, where we only saw the Crusaders like 12-0 up. In fact, maybe even the first like 30, where the Crusaders were only that, that try up on the Chiefs. But we saw the points were able to be scored towards the last 10 minutes, a couple tries, a penalty kick, and it ended in what was a pretty tight first half, and pretty much summed up how that first half was. But the second half, we really saw this game open up. And if you go for the Chiefs perspective, you had a look at how the Hurricanes went against them in that second half. It was that, but the Chiefs this time doing it to the Crusaders. The Chiefs just looked like a whole new team coming out in that second half. Just their confidence was up, and just the speed of the play was just really quick, and the Crusaders, just really dropped off massively, just like the Chiefs did in that game against the Hurricanes. It's actually quite two similar games, these two matches, where it was, I guess, a tightish first half, but the second half, the game just completely changed. And it just shows a couple of tries early in the half can really change the aspect, but also the ratio of this game as well. And that's what very much happened in this game. The Chiefs just looked really great in that second half, and of course there was always those questions on whether their confidence would still be low after that Hurricanes defeat, but they certainly, it looked like very much that game straight away went into the bin straight after that matchup in Wellington, and the Chiefs just put on an absolute clinical showing in that second half. The Crusaders, how do you sum them up? They just looked sluggish in that second half. They didn't even turn up. It's like they were just non-existent at the game. The Chiefs just came through and absolutely piled the points on them, and just summed up what was a very disappointing second half for the Crusaders. And of course, it didn't get worse as well, of course, with Will Jordan going off injured early in that first half. Such a key player in this Crusaders team, a key All Black as well, heading into the July international test window. That very much summed up a very disappointing game for the Crusaders. If Will Jordan was still on, could it have been the same? Of course, we'll never know, being that, of course, it didn't happen. But for the Crusaders, disappointing. Of course, they've only had the couple losses this season. They haven't actually lost in front of their home crowd yet, so they've actually been very good at home this season. So only their first defeat at home this Super Rugby season, but not the way you'd want to suffer your first defeat of the season. Of course, you don't want to suffer a defeat, of course, in a season. Who wouldn't? But very much at home in that sort of matter, it's just not what you should be doing for a team that's top of the table. But the team they've got as well, they should be doing much better. So here was my standout player. Well, it's going to go to Chiefs playmaker Damian McKenzie. Now, this guy hasn't been in action for the last few weeks. He's had a bit of an injury problem at the moment, and I think very much against the Hurricanes, he was 100% missed. I think they just missed just his calmness under pressure, just the way he can just open up defenses with his passing, but also just his vision making those kicks. I think that was definitely missed against the Hurricanes and very much over the last few weeks, but it just showed in this game against the Crusaders just how important he is to this team, why he very much should be in that All Black setup, which he is at the moment, but very much showing All Black selectors that, yes, I didn't have the greatest of years in an All Black shirt last year, but my form in Super Rugby is still very good. Let me be in this All Blacks team. That very much was on display from Damian McKenzie in this match. His kicking was pretty great as well, pretty much nailed all but a kick or so was pretty accurate from the tee, as he always is, and just once again, just very much changed this Chiefs performance, how they were from that game in Wellington to this game here in Christchurch. Just they look like a whole completely different team with Damian McKenzie back. But also a notable shout out to Wallace Atiti. This was his first start of Super Rugby season. Remember, he wasn't even meant to play the damn season, of course, after having to have surgery after picking up an injury on the All Blacks Northern Tour at the end of last year. And his first start, and once again, of course, got a try as well. And I think once again, those players just making the difference. I think Wallace Titi showing why he was that breakthrough player of the year in 2024 for New Zealand, and I think very much again is going to be in that spotlight come the All Blacks Test matches in June. But it's a great performance though from Damian McKenzie, but of course I did want to give a shout out to Wallace Titi as well. But Damian McKenzie, the Southland first five, he is my standout player. A great return from after missing the last couple of games through injury for the number 10. He is my star player for this match. So what's next? Well, the Chiefs actually have their bye, so they're not actually in action at all heading into the last 3 rounds of Super Rugby regular season, but they return into action next Friday evening where they host the Moana Pacifica team in Hamilton. They're back at home for the first time in a couple of games, and Moana Pacifica, don't underestimate them. They are a team that have surprised a lot this season. They've had a real change in that team this season, and we've covered in a few videos already this Super Rugby season about them, and they'll certainly be a tough test for the Chiefs. But results going their way, they could very much claim top spot and secure that home finals heading into the playoffs, which of course are only a few weeks away. We're actually running to the last 3 rounds of Super Rugby action. It comes so thick and fast. But yes, for the Chiefs, that is what's up for them. The Crusaders, they're off to Sydney. They take on the Waratahs. The Waratahs, even though they're sitting just outside that top 6, and they have actually caused a few upsets this season. They're actually one of the few teams that have beaten the Chiefs this season, having beaten them in Sydney a few weeks ago. So don't expect the Crusaders to go there and easily beat the Waratahs in Australia. The Australian teams have really turned up this season, and I believe it will very much be the same when they visit Sydney to take on the Waratahs, and that is next up for the Crusaders. And man, will they need to bounce back, because as I said, the Australian teams have been in great form this 2025 season. So I think for the Crusaders, depending on how this Will Jordan injury is, there's no news on what the injury looks like. Yeah, they'll really need to get this stuff sorted if they really want to at least have a chance of getting that top spot, because 3 rounds to go, you never know. There's only a few points between the top 3, so anything can happen. But that's going to be it from me, and until next time, I'll see you later.